Hi everyone, welcome to Rhonda's Kitchen. Today we're making an amazing recipe, no knead harvest bread. Once you make this bread, you'll be hooked, guaranteed. I'm your host, Rhonda Amoroso. I'm a published cookbook and novel author, paper crafter, and creativity consultant. And I'm your resource for healthy alternatives to classic recipes. I've taken this basic bread recipe and kicked it up a few notches, adding healthy ingredients, and of course, it's simply delicious. Please hit the subscribe button below if you'd like to be alerted when new videos go live. So, let's begin. Here are the ingredients you'll need for the harvest bread. The basic recipe calls for flour, salt, yeast, and water. That's it. But we don't stop there. You can find all the ingredients and measurements in the description below. And if you don't like something, simply leave it out. Okay, so in your large bowl, we're going to add the flour, salt, and yeast. And we will whisk this all together. All right, that looks good. So that would be your basic recipe. But what I have done is I have added now, we're going to add some wheat germ, pumpkin seeds, hemp hearts. This is all really good stuff if you're into nutrition. Flax seeds. We have poppy seeds and sesame seeds. And some basil. I was going to say basil and oregano. That's for you, May. And we have something that I found recently. It's a garlic onion spice. And I like to add a little cinnamon just to give it some color. And we'll whisk all of this up. And again, I know a lot of processed breads that you buy in the supermarket have sugar added to it and other preservatives. We don't add any of that here. You know, non-processed, which is how I like it. Okay, so that's really it. Now we have our hot water. It's got to be real hot, so make sure you nuke it before you use it. And we're just going to go ahead and pour most of it in. I'm using a nice rubber spatula. Just mix everything up well. And as I mentioned, we use a Dutch oven. If you are not familiar with the Dutch oven, you just go Google it. They're all different types. We're using a 5-quart, I believe, one of the larger ones. And it's just a great tool. You can do all sorts of things with the Dutch oven. But the process we're using here in this bread is a steam bake. So it's different than sitting around kneading your bread and getting tired. So that's the beauty of this. It takes a few minutes. I may need to add a little more water. And the most important thing is to make sure everything is mixed up on the bottom. And again, you can add a little bit more water. It depends on how much extra ingredients you put in. It will require you to have a little more hot water. All right, that's looking pretty good. So what I do is just sort of round it out, and I'll show you what it looks like more or less. And we're going to set this thing to rise for 3 hours. So here's what it looks like. We will cover it up with saran wrap, plastic wrap, whatever you want to call it. Make sure it's tightly sealed. And then what I like to do is put a towel on top of it just to give it sort of an extra protection. And we will be back in 3 hours, so make sure you set your timer. Okay, we're back. Our dough has risen, and now we are ready to get started on baking in the Dutch oven. So the oven has to get heated up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And once that hits 450, we're going to take the Dutch oven and place it in for 35 minutes. And now we're going to remove our dough and place it on the parchment paper. It's about 14 by 14. And just show you how to do that. This is a little tip that I have figured out after making so many breads. To me, this is an easier way to do it. And what we're going to do is just make sure you center it. Okay, now we're just going to put this back in the bowl. And we're going to cover it back up and wait until the oven is ready. We've removed the Dutch oven from the oven. Now I'm going to take the top off. You can see the steam. And what we do is we're going to take this and just dump it in. Make sure you're wearing your oven mitts, because if you don't, you will burn yourself. I have a little scar from a while ago. We will cover this up, and this will go back into the oven for 30 minutes. The bread has cooked for 30 minutes, and now we're going to take the lid off, and you can see it's steamed up. And then we carefully remove the parchment paper, and you can use this again if you don't destroy it. So this is what our bread looks like so far. We're going to put it back in for 15 more minutes. Well, our bread is done. As you can see, it looks absolutely gorgeous, ready to slice into. And if those of you who are looking for a sweeter version of this bread, I also make a cranberry walnut bread. And to me, that's just really delicious. And I'll post those ingredients and measurements for you below. And I want to just thank you all for joining us today. As we say in Rhonda's Kitchen, mangia tutti. Ciao.